Hello everyone and welcome to this video stream brought to you by Ensemble Inverspace. My name is João Carlos Pacheco and I am the drummer and percussionist of this ensemble. Together with me on stage you'll be seeing Maruta Staravoitava on the flute, Patrick Stadler on the saxophones, Robert Torche on live electronics, and Clemens Hund-Göschel on piano and keyboards. For those of you that have not come across our work, we are an ensemble that is dedicated to the creation of new music. We are based in Germany and Switzerland, and we like to work in close collaboration with composers and sound artists. Today, we'll bring you a very special concert that should have taken place live, but due to the current situation with the COVID-19 pandemic that has affected all of our lives, we had to turn it into a video production. I will also be talking to the composers of these two pieces, Fernando Manassero and Santiago Diez-Fischer, both Argentinian-born, now living in Europe. Santiago in France and Fernando in Genève. I'd like to take the opportunity to send a big thanks to those in Sonor, in Ville, for the technical and logistical support, to the foundations that made this project possible, to our film crew, to my colleagues on stage, and to Fernando Manassero and Santiago Diez-Fischer for the beautiful music. If you like this show, please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, check our website, ensembleinverspace.com, follow us on Facebook and on Instagram at Ensemble Inverspace. I hope you're all safe, and I hope you enjoy the show. Fernando Manassero, hello and welcome to this show. How have you been?
Hello, João. Good evening. Thanks for inviting me.
Welcome.
All good these days of hard work and enjoying very much, I have to say. Yeah, super cool.
Very good. I prepared this interview a little bit and I will have some questions for you. I would like to start by asking something that personally interests me, which is after so many years in Argentina being very active, organizing concerts, teaching, and now recently you moved to Europe. You've been in the States before, always investing in getting more, getting further. That's something I find super interesting. I would like to know, how did that happen? How did you come to Europe? What was the reason, motivation?
Well, actually, this is a thing that, of course, has to do with music because I became a musician. But since I wanted to live in many places. This is kind of a nomad thing that I have that changes sometimes, but it's a little bit like that. And, well, I've been coming, before moving to Europe, I've been coming here for the last, 6-7 years already, I think, mainly to Switzerland, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, so from the moment we met, even before, I think, exactly, yeah, exactly, true. Yeah, totally. And before that, also going to Basel, and so and then it was kind of a natural move to come here, even though Argentina was super good, and it was just about changing and doing and going further, as you say, and getting into new things. I think this is the motor of the thing. It's like getting into new things, in new projects, working with talented people also, and know more. I think it's.
Do you think that influences also your work? The fact that this moving around, this nomad aspect of your life, do you think that has an influence on what you do?
Yes, totally. The more you see, I think, the more you can reflect on. At least to me, it works like that. When I get too much time into one place, I kind of start getting stuck, and I need to know things
to unblock the creativity.
Yeah, exactly. It's like to contrast different things you see and to see what's your position, like against that, so to speak, and then do something with that. It's all the time like this. My music has to do a lot with this, like kind of synthesizing stuff that comes from. I always forget where they come from, but it's really heavily filtered by memory, and something else comes up.
Yeah, fantastic. And in those trips to Europe, I'm guessing that's when you met most of the members of the ensemble, correct?
Totally, in different projects, and So
you worked with the members of the ensemble in other formations. Mm-hmm. Myself with my duo with trombone, we collaborated. With Patrick, you also collaborated before.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to know, how did that influence the writing of this piece specifically? Well, knowing people in the ensemble and knowing the way they play and.
Well, I always do the research with the ensembles I play. So I go YouTube, I go SoundCloud, I go Bandcamp, everywhere to check out how they sound. But in the case of you, I've been sharing a flat with you, and also with Patrick, being in the States. Recording and performing, and so I actually was picturing you playing your part when I was doing this. Like for you, the set when we spoke on Skype at that time, and we talked about the drums and we defined the set. Then I was saying, okay, I was seeing you playing the part. At the same happened with Patrick and to all actually, but with you too. It was more. I don't know. I didn't have to watch too many videos, so to speak. Yeah. But it's totally integrated in the writing. I think the exchange with the musicians, is key to my work, because I all the time like to customize the instruments, like many people do, of course. But I don't like to do it in a standard way, because even though you can customize an instrument, you can customize it in a standard way, and I don't like that. I need the sounds that somehow comes from the conversation between the two agents. Super. So that's it.
Yeah, that explains a lot about the tweaking of all these sounds during the rehearsals and all this process that we've been having in the last days. And that has been very good. And I think it brought the piece to a pretty successful performance.
Yes.
And the other question I had was so you worked with some of the musicians of the ensemble in other situations. You know them as artists. You understand their vision. And then you were asked to write for this combination, which is pretty unconventional in the sense that we don't usually work with live electronics in the normal sense of somebody triggering some samples or working with a max patch that processes the group. We have a human element of live electronics on stage. How was that different in the process of writing? Did that pose any challenge? Was that the same approach you would take to, did you use the same approach you would take to any other piece?
Well, I've been writing like this, like trying to push with my work the idea of having a performer, like electronic performer live and not in the desk, like out of the scene, since a long time, and I will explain why. But for this piece, the key was that, I mean, we had a musician that normally sometimes it's another person that is not doing, not playing his instrument or something like that.
With this ensemble that I find different is that the musician is a musician.
Exactly.
It's not a technician just triggering something. And how did that?
Yeah, in other pieces, like most times it's the percussionist that does that, or the pianist, or someone that is more into those things that or can be more naturally involved into those things. In this case, I really like this concept because I could kind of go further with this. Like we introduced, we introduced the piece into the piece the analog synth that actually is handmade by Robert, which was great. And I also like to work a lot with samplers. This is like the MPC world. So like from hip hop, from the 70s and 80s and later, and I really love this. And so we have a musician that can play that. Then the challenge is to write that on a score that makes sense to the instrument. So this is the challenge mainly because my idea is since a long time has been like trying to push through writing, like the writing for this kind of instruments, because I think the main problem, so to speak, or the main challenge is all the time like, okay, you have to fix a set and then write for that. So how do you code all that makes sense with the other instruments that has the same depth that writing allows you when you write music, the same level of detail, because I love detail, so the same level of detail that you can bring for a musician, a performer that is not a keyboard player or percussionist, or even the saxophone, any instrument. So I think in this sense, I really like the combination. I also do love weird combinations, like more than I think I don't have any piece that is kind of a standard thing. That's I think is something good, and also feels like a band.
So, what is Box of Instants? Because that's the name of the piece that we're going to perform today. How did that title come? What is it about? What inspired you on that one?
Well, the title it came once. I mean, it's super. I mean, it was just thing that I was picking up from something I was seeing in my desk. I had this box actually with a lot of like many pieces of paper with some. I do kind of a sketchy notation for objects, sound objects. So let's say, I don't know, we have a rattling sound. So I do my own notation for that. And I had like many meters of like this size pieces of paper like stuck to each other. So I have many meters, and then for several years, and then I was using that material to bring sequences of sound. Like I do that. So one time I had to travel, I think, and it was too complicated, so I chopped it in many smaller pieces, and that's in a box. And yeah, it's literally that. So each of these sound objects that are meant to be played either by the sampler, which could be like literally a sound object, or by the instruments, because I think every material like that, like designing it, then it could be translated to, like, you have this sound object written here, and you can translate it to many things, like maybe to the flute, to the saxophone, could be something in the electronics, you know. It depends on how you interpret it. So when I do my first sketches, like in this piece is literally the case, I was just taking from the box and ordering these things on my desk and seeing, okay, and then I was going to more a score and writing it down, you know, like, okay, this is, and starting to measure and kind of, how do you say, you go from the maquette, like, but done in paper, to something more. And so literally these sound objects are like moments, like instants, like how do you say, like, yeah, like discrete moments in time through sound, which is normal concept of sound object. So it was kind of scrambling all these things and bringing up, and when I got bored or I didn't like it, I was just taking everything away and doing another sequence, and then I would take a picture of that just to memorize, you know, very like homemade thing. And I had like I don't know 50 pictures of these configurations until you already more or less know what it's going to be. So that's box of instants in the first stage of creating it.
Okay, so coming from the visual also and the organization into the sound, and bring it to sound.
And of course, and of course this is it's after we spoke, like I spoke with all the musicians and we were talking about the sets.
We should say that a lot of the process happened, although I think the commission came before the COVID-19 pandemic, but much of the process happened during the pandemic. So that conversation was mostly online and through exchange of files and ideas.
Yeah, exactly. So that also, I mean, determined more or less how the sound world of the piece would be. So when I read this these pieces of paper, I already have in mind how they should sound. So the air is going to be like this. The drums are going to do this because of the piano can do this. So the same object can mean different things. And so from this is like you have the background of the sound world, and you see this through this thing when you already know the musicians. It's like a little bit like that, how it works.
And going to that way of working that we had to use in this situation, and we were not sure, or better, we were sure that we were going to play it live. That was the plan, and everything pointed to a live performance, and then the circumstances changed. Talking to my friends of the ensemble, we were questioning ourselves after these commissions had been done, if the composers would have taken a different approach to the pieces if they knew that the end result would have been a video production and not a live performance. And I'd like to ask your opinion on that. Like, would we have a different box of instants if we knew from the get-go that this would have been always planned as a video production and not as a concert piece?
It's a good question. It's a very good question. I mean, for sure it would have been different because there's some amount of detail that you, of course, can have if you're going to do a video production, because you can design or make a script of all the things you want to do, and maybe you do like in stop motion, you know, you do step by step, and when you're thinking on a piece to be played continuously, you think differently. And as the way I work, at least, is a lot about the moment of the sounds. It might have been different, yes. I think, maybe, yeah.
We will not know.
We don't know.
But we know that we had a great piece, that we had a lot of fun
Yeah.
working with you on this one. Thank you very, very much for all the work. I think we all had a very productive, and I talked about my friends. I think they support that also. We had a very productive week and a great time, very fun working with you. And yeah, Box of Instants, Fernando Manassero. Thank you, Fernando. I hope we see each other soon in better circumstances. And
thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to work with you. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Once again, Fernando Manassero, Box of Instants, Ensemble Inverspace.
I am Santiago Diez-Fischer, Argentinian composer. I live in Paris. I think I don't have inspiration. It's not inspiration, the word. It's more influence. I'm a human. I'm an artist, so I try to read, to see photography, to see art in general. All this relationship with arts in general are part of my life. And then when I compose in this real life. We can see all my influence from poetry, from photography, etc. in my composition. It's not just imitation of other arts. It's not an inspiration. I mean, I can't read a poem and write a piece. It's more the book will influence my life, and I will use all this background to compose a piece or to compose music. Each of this model, each of these levels are like a filter. With each moment, I will make a filter of my ideas. I will take the good one for me, and I will work with. Then when I finish the model, the last model with the instrument and with the electronics, with the object, I make the same work with my for the score, to write the score. And then, of course, part of this work is the improvisation. So I try to know the instrument, I try to improvise the instrument, I try to find actions and sounds, and for me it's very important to think about, when I think about sound, it's not just a sound, it's an action that produces sound. That's because I think the human action is there. Even for the electronics, I can imagine a human action that make this kind of sound. So that's very important for me. Think about how an action produces sound, and that's why I use the object, because the object show me the action to produce a sound. To think about the people that I will work. I mean, it's part of my compositional process. I need to study each musician. So part of my work is know the ensemble, listen the concert of the ensemble, or the video of the concert of the ensemble, to find a good language. I think for me this ensemble was particular. It was very, very interesting because I never used before this piece live electronics in this way. I mean, with someone playing the electronics. It was very interesting, and it was a nice combination of me as a composer of the audiophile. I mean, the audiophile electronics, the pedal that we treat, and the player of the electronics. You have the acoustic the acoustic actions, the electronics actions, and then the audiophile. It's me searching a new action for a new kind of electronic sound. So these three sound combination and these three actions combination was great to imagine the piece. Yeah, and I think was worked very well. I mean, this work was amazing with the players. I think it was a good work. Thank you very much. Thank you to the ensemble. Thank you to the listener, and I hope you like the piece. Thank you. Bye.